Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is for you. Wherever you happen to be right now, thank you so much for checking out the Results Matter Podcast. My name is Mike Voories, and I help business leaders, entrepreneurs, and sales professionals become measurably more successful. Hey, I know your time is very valuable. In fact, it's so valuable, it's literally the only non-renewable resource you have. So I'll get right to the point and tell you what this podcast is all about. Speaking of not wanting to waste time and getting right to the point, that's actually the first thing you should know. I don't like long, drawn-out shows featuring mostly boring content packed full of advertisements. You won't find anything like that on this podcast. If you're anything like me, you'd probably listen to more podcasts, read more books, and take in more material in general if people with something useful to say would just get to the point. Yeah, so this might come as a surprise, given this is my podcast, but I actually don't want you to spend an hour or two at a time listening to each episode. I'd rather you spend as much time as possible out in your world. Wherever your world might be, doing whatever it is that you do in your world, actually trying and implementing some of the ideas, the practices, and the principles that you hear discussed on the Results Matter podcast. Look, you and I don't become more successful, solve problems, overcome challenges, and make substantial improvements to our businesses and our lives by listening to podcasts, or reading books or anything else. But actually taking action on some of what we hear, what we learn, what we read, then, and only then, will we realize game-changing advances in our business and on our teams, and in our lives. Through this Results Matter podcast, I aim to deliver value, share practical ideas, and present my perspective on various topics of interest to business leaders, entrepreneurs, sales professionals, and really anyone else who's serious about achieving more and becoming their absolute best. So what this podcast is not. This is not a warm, fuzzy, feel-good, just think positive and good things will happen type of show. It's not a safe place where making excuses and blaming everyone but ourselves is acceptable. But for those who will embrace the Results Matter mindset, commit to personal accountability, take total ownership over their work and life, then this podcast is for you. So I invite you to include the weekly episodes of this podcast on your journey of continuous improvement. Together, let's become more efficient, more effective, more profitable, and more successful, however each of us happens to define success. So if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, please take just a second to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, go ahead and like and follow the Results Matter podcast on your favorite social media platforms for additional useful content throughout the week. There's a link in the show notes to sign up for free weekly business coaching delivered right to your inbox. So one last thing. Profit, prosperity, and success are not bad words. Guess what? They're not secrets either. If you think this podcast might help you, chances are it could help somebody else you know too. It would be super cool and a big help if you would share this podcast across your social networks. All right, that's it for this quick trailer introduction. Hopefully you've heard enough to subscribe and join me for more. I'm Mike Voories. This is the Results Matter Podcast. Check out the next episode, and in the meantime, take total ownership over your work and life. You cannot deposit excuses. Your results do matter.